What's up guys, and welcome back to PricePlow. This channel, you know what, I don't need to tell you what it's about because you probably already watched a lot of our stuff. You've read the title and you know why you're here.
Welcome to PricePlow.
I get a lot of questions about stuff, some controversial products in this industry. It usually comes, a lot of them are about GDAs, and today we're talking about one that's a little bit different than a GDA. This is a GDA Plus. At least that's what Axe Sledge calls it. So people talk to me a lot about what are the implications of using a GDA. You're using it for muscle gain, or using it for fat loss, or using it just to make sure that a cheat meal doesn't hurt so bad. And talking to Patrick from Axe Sledge, he explained to me this is actually GDA Plus, right? It's more than just a GDA. And what's cool about it, and this is actually something that I have considered before, is that, you know, say when you get into bodybuilding and if you are going to start using exogenous insulin, one of the big things that is always told you is don't eat a lot of fat around that. You know, use simple carbohydrates and proteins and amino acids, shovel those nutrients. And so that was one question I always had, is when people push these GDAs, well, what about the rest of the meal? If it's a cheat meal fix, there's a lot more to it in terms of excess energy that you're getting than just carbohydrates. In fact, the fats, I'd say, are even worse. So GDA Plus from Axe Sledge actually attacks that portion of things as well. Fat, lipid blocking, as well as digestion. So you have your glucose disposal, your fat blocking, and your enzyme blend, which are all helpful areas because one, you're getting a lot of fat in these cheat meals. Two, you're getting a lot of carbs in these cheat meals. And three, you probably can't digest it all that well because it's a super dirty meal full of these fats, carbs, and all these additives and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool product. This isn't your normal GDA that you'd be taking for bodybuilding. This is kind of more of like, I'm putting this, I don't want this to come across badly, but it's like your fat man's GDA. Like if you are going to be eating some really dirty food, this is definitely the one to go for. If you're looking for a GDA to take with your clustered extra and pre-workout to make sure you're getting a better pump, this probably isn't the one to go for. There's no berberine in here. It's very light on the traditional GDA ingredients and heavier on some ingredients that are just going to help if you're actually eating some really dirty food. So without further ado, let's jump in and talk about the ingredients on GDA Plus. This is going to be an ingredient breakdown where I talk about the actual ingredients inside of here and explain to you what each one is doing. So like I mentioned, one of the big changes between this and the normal GDAs out there, this one, the main difference is that it attacks fat. Now, the fat blocking complex, so these ingredients aren't all that new. Like we don't talk about them all that often, but they're not like brand new to market ingredients. First one is liposan ultra chitosan. And I'm actually going to lump this up with prickly pear leaf as well because they both do the same thing. Now, liposan ultra chitosan itself is actually derived by North Atlantic shrimp shells. So it's kind of, this is not vegan, just so you know. If you are a vegan, which you probably shouldn't be watching this channel if you are, but if you are, this isn't going to be a vegan product for you. This is derived from these cold water shrimp. The chitosan in them is useful for this application, and the prickly pear leaf is obviously from a prickly pear plant. So I can get into how liposan is a cationic polysaccharide, but I'm not going to. What you need to know is that these bind to lipids in the stomach and prevent them from being digested as far. Now, in a landmark study in 2001, liposan ultra from chitosan was in a study that was really cool that showed that in some obese patients, this liposan was added to their diet. They changed nothing about their lifestyle, meaning there was no hypocaloric diet, there was no added activity, nothing. And they found a notable loss in weight. Really nice part of that is that there were no noticeable side effects from the ingredient. So that landmark study was on that specific ingredient. Prickly pear leaf works in a very similar way. So the two of these do a really good job of binding to fat and making you absorb less of it. Now, cinnamon bark extract is the third ingredient here, which I think is kind of funny because cinnamon bark extract can really help with insulin sensitivity, but it also helps with this problem with lipids. Now, cinnamon bark extract contains many different constituents, and I'm actually going to read them off my notes, so don't get mad at me that I don't memorize all this stuff, but coumarin, cinnamaldehyde, cinnamonic acid, eugenol, catechins, epicatechin, but the most important one for this purpose today is methylchalcone, or chalcone. I'm not really sure, I don't read these things out loud, I kind of just read them in my head usually, but this ingredient, the constituent specifically, is actually able to lower an enzyme in your body called triacylglycerol lipase. Once again, I don't read these things out loud very often. And this enzyme is actually responsible for breaking down dietary lipids and controlling the uptake of that into your body. So as we lower that enzyme, fats are being broken down less in your body and utilized less, and you are for lack of better words, passing them through and not absorbing them. So that way creating a lower calorie intake without actually changing the intake going into your mouth. Now moving into the carbohydrate blocking portion, we have white kidney bean, Garcinia cambogia, and Glucomannan. Now these are not new ingredients. Again, we've seen these time and time again. Some of them were in some fad products, but the usage of them here is actually for good reason. Similar to the cinnamon bark extract, white kidney bean, again, inhibits an enzyme used for carbohydrate breakdown this time, named alpha amylase. Now that specific enzyme helps break down carbohydrates and utilize them, so by breaking that down, having less of it, you're going to be actually utilizing less carbohydrates. Now, one of the interesting things here, which there's got to be an explanation for, white kidney bean lowers amylase in the body, but then in the Digestab later on, you're actually supplementing more amylases. So I'm not really sure if that ends up being net zero, but I'm just really kind of just presenting the ingredients here. I don't have any reason to believe that this is netting out zero, but it's just kind of an interesting thought that I had and wanted to note it for a little bit of a devil's advocate here. Because we get paid for these breakdowns and people think that I'm completely biased and never say the truth because I like companies and I get paid for this, but I'm telling the truth here. There's definitely a possibility that this is negating the effect of white kidney bean. Now, Garcinia cambogia is an awesome ingredient in my opinion for modulating your actual appetite, which is definitely a part of the purpose of this, though maybe not clearly defined in the claims on the bottle. Garcinia cambogia is at a 50% HCA extract, which means that the main constituent that is being looked for in this is HCA, which stands for hydroxycitric acid. Sorry, again, don't read these out loud very often. This ingredient actually modulates serotonin production in the body, which can help you feel more satiated and as such lower your intake of food, which is in the end going to help with fat loss, weight loss. But a lot of the literature on Garcinia cambogia not only cites benefits for appetite suppression, but also glucose levels in the blood. Between higher insulin sensitivity and lowering actual blood sugar, both of these things are going to be helpful if you are getting in a lot of carbohydrates. Now, glucomannan is the last ingredient in this blend from konjac root. You got 75 milligrams of it here. Now this one is a little bit gross, but pretty interesting. Glucomannan actually pulls water into the stool in your intestines and kind of makes your poop bigger and makes a gel-like substance. So as it's going through, it's going to inhibit the absorption of a lot of carbohydrates in the intestines. Another thing here is it's going to make you feel more full, so you're going to end up eating less. So sorry, this is a little bit graphic, a little bit disgusting, but when we're talking about digestion here, I gotta talk about poop a little bit. A study in 2005 not only showed that it led to actual fat loss, but it also improved blood sugar levels and lipid profiles in the patient's blood. So overall, this is gonna help a lot of different health markers for you, and it's gonna make you be a little more satiated and lose some fat. So really can't blame much here. Now the enzyme blend here, we got 50 milligrams of Digestab. We've seen this in a bunch of different products. It's in some of their proteins as well. The story goes that Seth, when he came to American Made Nutrition to create Axe Sledge, told them, I can't eat protein, I have a really bad time digesting this stuff, so they actually started adding digestive enzymes to most of their products, and Seth can really utilize them a lot better. He doesn't get really sick from the proteins, and it helps his digestion overall. Like I've said recently a lot, you are not what you eat, you are what you can absorb, so these digestive enzymes help out a lot. Digestab is a trademarked blend of different digestive enzymes. Like I said before, it's got amylases in it, lactase, proteases, lipase, cellulases. So it's going to help with the breakdown of carbs, fats, proteins, all sorts of different stuff there, even lactose. Overall, this is just a helpful addition to your day. If you aren't digesting stuff well, you're not going to be absorbing it well, you're not going to be performing well. So just another added benefit, which is part of the plus in GDA plus. So rounding it out in the end, we got, oh crap, that's not gonna. Rounding it out, we've got GS4 Plus, which is a extract with 75% gymnemic acids. Now this is where things get really cool. When I say gymnemic acids, you probably are perking up and realizing that I've talked about this before with Gymnema sylvestre. I said that one right without looking. This is used in a lot of GDAs out there, but this one has a really cool benefit to it. Studies on this specific ingredient have shown an actual lowered perception of sweetness after taking. So this is purely anecdotal here, but I'm sure you will relate to it. If one cookie tastes really good, I imagine the 5 that follow after it are going to taste really, really good. So this is going to help you not want to eat as much It's kind of an odd thought that it's going to make things taste a little bit less sweet, but think about it. If you could be more on topic, have a lower appetite, and appreciate normal foods more and not crave those sweet foods as much, definitely going to help you lose weight. And that's where I'm kind of saying that this GDA Plus isn't your traditional glucose disposal agent. It's less about, in the acute sense, lowering blood sugar, and more about softening the blow of a really big cheat meal and improving your day-long, intake of food. So if you have a hard time staying away from snacking and stuff like that, this could actually be pretty helpful. Last ingredient they have in here is BioPerine, 5 milligrams of black pepper extract. Helps with the absorption of pretty much everything out there. It does help. It does come from using a little bit of inflammation, but overall it's an awesome ingredient. We love having it in all these products. You do have to be careful if you're taking any kind of pharmaceutical drugs alongside it. That's something I do have to tell you. But overall, it's helpful for most supplements, going to help with the absorption and usage of all these ingredients. So that's GDA Plus here. If you are wondering how much to take, getting too excited over here. If you're wondering how much to use here, there's a very nice table for how much you should take for how many grams of fats and carbs per meal, which may help you understand a little bit more about the intake that you're having, which I think is great for everyone. The first step to understanding fat loss is understanding what you're putting in your body. So if you have any other questions about Axe Sledge, you can run over to PricePlow.com/Axe and Sledge. I think there's a dash between each one. For any questions about GDA Plus, or if you have a question for me, just leave it below. I'd love to talk about the product, anything from this company. I'm a big fan of a lot of the stuff that Axe Sledge does. They're homemade, they're grass-fed, they're hydraulic. You name it, I probably like it from them. They've got a great attitude, great outlook on the industry, and just are trying to put out good products. So thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around. This is a little bit of a longer one, but sometimes I get a little bit happy about these ingredients, and yeah, I'll try to shorten it down in editing as much as possible. Thanks for guys for watching, and have a great day.
Welcome to PricePlow.